No one noticed the IT girl until she bumped into the CEO and fell in love. The JN Corporation building had 30 floors and an elevator that was never late. Except that morning. Yoon Haejin hugged the faded gray backpack to her chest, breaking out in a cold sweat. It was her first week in the IT department, and the new badge still snagged at her neck. On the elevator screen, under maintenance, she cursed softly. Of all days. In the server room on the 22nd floor, they had asked her to reinstall security on the central equipment, and if there was one thing Haejin hated more than a broken elevator, it was the judgmental looks from coworkers who used complicated terms and laughed when she asked something simple. She took a deep breath, turned on her heels, and saw the doors of elevator be open with a chime. Finally, she ran. But at the exact moment she rushed in, bumping her shoulders against the mirrored reflections of the cabin, she ran straight into someone. Literally, the impact made the backpack slip from her arm, and the cup of coffee in his hand tipped over. The silence lasted 2 seconds, exactly long enough for her to look up and freeze. I'm sorry. She bowed quickly, picking up the backpack from the floor. I didn't see. It's all right. The voice was low, firm, gentle. But the face. Yoon Haejin knew that face. It was the CEO, the president of the company, Shung Min Se-hoki. He wore a dark suit, a loosened tie, and even with a coffee stain on his white shirt, he looked unbelievably calm, as if he had all the time in the world, even though he was the busiest man in the building. Are you okay? He asked, looking at her wrist, where the backpack strap had left a mark. She could only nod, stammering an almost inaudible yes. And the coffee, did you lose it? She asked, pointing to the spilled cup on the floor. He smiled slightly, a discreet smile that didn't reach his eyes, but had something intriguing about it. Nothing a new coffee can't fix, but maybe I'll need some company to forget the loss? Her heart stopped. I mean, I can get you another one. It's the least I can do. It was just an accident, and it was the most interesting part of my morning, he said, already pressing the button for the 22nd floor. How far are you going? -22 as well. Coincidence? He commented, and this time he smiled with his eyes. She stepped inside, trying to look normal, but her heart was far from obeying, and the elevator finally began to rise. Haejin tried to keep her gaze fixed on the digital panel above the door. 16's, but his presence there beside her was impossible to ignore. Min Se-ok was leaning slightly to the side, one hand in his pocket, the other holding the empty cup. He was also watching the panel, but with a calm expression. Are you new here? He suddenly asked. She choked on her own breath. I am. I started this week in the IT department. Data security. Ah, so you're the one who's going to save our servers from chaos. She laughed, nervous. Well, I hope so, if I don't blow anything up first. He raised an eyebrow, amused. It was rare to see someone so sincere, and even rarer to feel comfortable enough to laugh inside an elevator with her CEO. I like that, he said. Like what? People who don't pretend. The elevator stopped at the 18th floor. The doors opened, new one came in, just the wind of an empty, cold floor. She thought he would get off before her, but no. He stayed beside her. Calmly, in your name, he asked. When the doors closed again, Yoon Haejin, he repeated. Beautiful. She blushed, tried to hide it by looking away, but it was already too late. He had noticed. And yours is, well, I don't even need to ask, right? He smiled crookedly. Yeah, it's hard to go unnoticed when your face is on the company bulletin boards or in all the business news in the country. That too. For a moment, they looked at each other directly, without disguises. There was no joking there, nor the weight of titles and hierarchies. Just two strangers, who didn't seem so strange after all. When he had evaded reached the 22nd floor, the atmosphere felt different. I hope your first week isn't too cruel to you, he said. Before stepping out, it was already worth it because of this elevator, she replied, almost without thinking. He turned around in the middle of the hallway, threw one last look. That look? Good to know. And then he left the elevator. But Hyjin was still standing there, her hands trembling discreetly. The next morning, Hyjin arrived early at the building. Too early. She tried to convince herself that it was just anxiety about starting the week off. Well, but she knew it wasn't only that. Since the elevator, a part of her had been stuck on that look, that voice, and the way he said her name. As if it were different. As if he already knew her. "Good morning, Hyjin," greeted her desk mate, barely noticing the silly smile she was trying to hide. "Good morning." She turned on the computer, opened the systems, but everything felt distant, as if she were in airplane mode. Up above, on the executive floor, Minseok also couldn't concentrate. Sitting in front of an impeccable desk, he ignored reports, numbers, and scheduled meetings. He stared fixedly at the reflection in the mirror in front of him, and then at the coffee. And then at the elevator camera screen. He pulled back when he realized his own impulse. It wasn't like him. He was the kind of CEO who kept everything under control. Everything. Always. But that Ike girl had messed something up. "Are you all right, sir?" The assistant came in with the day's agenda. "I am just reviewing the security reports." A lie. He was trying to review his own heart. Later, at lunch, Hyjin went to the ground floor cafeteria alone. She didn't know many people yet, and that actually helped. Fewer chances of having to explain why she was so distracted. She ordered a sandwich, an iced tea, sat at the table near the window. And that was where he saw her again. Minseok had come down for a personal call, something he rarely did, but when he spotted her, he interrupted the call and approached. "Do you always have lunch alone?" She was startled by his presence, but hid it with a smile. "Only on days when I don't feel like pretending I understand finance." He laughed, genuinely, and then, to her surprise, sat down in the chair across from her. "So, today's a day for honesty." "It seems so," she said, still unable to believe what was happening. "Good. I needed a bit of that." They talked for 20 minutes about simple things. There was no rush, just a lightness between two worlds that, theoretically, would never cross. When he stood up, he said only, "It was good to talk to someone who doesn't try to impress. It was good to be someone who can just exist." And once again, they looked at each other. But this chimie, there was something new, something growing. In the following days, Minseok did not appear on the ground floor for 2 days, and Hyjin, even without wanting to, noticed. She continued with her work, the code, the servers, the team's demands, but everything felt colder, less alive. She tried to pretend she didn't care. But deep doom, every step in the hallway, every elevator that opened was an involuntary wish to see him again. Until, on Thursday, the IT panel malfunctioned, and she was the one called to fix it. "System on the 35th floor, executive level," said the technician, somewhat wary. "Are you sure you want to go?" "Why?" she replied, trying to seem indifferent. "That's the CEO's floor." She took a deep breath, grabbed the tool case, and went. When she arrived, the silence was different. Mari elegant, Mori serious. Miss Hyjin, the receptionist, recognized her. "You can go straight in. He's waiting." "He is waiting." She went in. Minseok was standing near the panoramic window, hands in his pockets, eyes on the city. He turned when he heard the door. "You came quickly." "It's my job." "And was it only because of that?" Hyjin stopped. The words got stuck. The tool case felt heavier in her hand. He approached slowly, stopping a few steps away from her. "I thought you were avoiding me. I thought you had forgotten." "Impossible," he said, looking deep into her eyes. "You made time stop in that elevator." She smiled, insecure. "And you made me feel seen. For real." Minseok extended his hand, without touching, just leaving it close to hers. "I can keep doing that if you let me." She didn't answer, but she didn't step back. Over the weekend, Hyjin tried to make time pass with TV shows and music, But in every pause, he came back. His smile, the way he looked at her, the deep voice saying her name so calmly. Min-seok had become a system error in her heart, impossible to fix. On Monday, she avoided the elevator. She climbed 4 floors by the stairs. And even so, fate refused to let her escape. In the hallway on the 17th floor, turning the corner, she ran straight into him. Literally, her shoulder hit his. The folder fell. Their eyes met. For a second that was far too long. "Are you avoiding me?" he asked, bending down to help her. "I was just in a hurry." Funny. So was I, but the world stopped again. Hyejin took the papers from his hand and stood up. Her heart was pounding too loud. "Min-seok, this can't happen. You're the CEO. I'm just an IT employee." "Wrong," he replied. "You're really the only person in this entire building who has managed to make me smile genuinely in months." She looked away, but he stepped closer, gently. "You don't have to give me answers now. Just tell me one thing." Hyejin looked at him in the elevator. That moment was time stopped only for me. She opened her mouth to deny it, but she couldn't. And that was enough. Min-seok smiled. "Thank you. That's enough for me." When the door opened on the ground floor, neither of them moved. "I need to call a taxi," she murmured. "Let me take you," he said. "You don't have to, Hyejin," he interrupted gently. "Let me take care of you for at least one night, even if it's just to drop you off at your door." She hesitated for 2 seconds. Then she nodded. The rain had turned into a drizzle. His car was parked right out front. In the passenger seat, she watched his fingers on the steering wheel. "Why are you looking at me like that?" he asked, without taking his eyes off the road. "Because you seem calm." "And I'm not calm at all. I'm calm on the outside. But in here," he lightly tapped his chest. "In here it s, a mess with your name on it." She bit her lip, fighting the smile. "This is dangerous, Min-seok. The two of us, we're different worlds. Then let's create a third one." Hyejin looked at him from the side. The way he spoke was always simple, but it hurt from being so true. She didn't know if it was too soon to feel all that. She only knew she already did. They arrived at her building. He didn't turn off the car. He just looked at her, waiting for something he didn't even know how to name. She slowly unbuckled her seatbelt, but she didn't get out. "Your trouble." "Then stay away," she laughed. "I don't want to." And then, without planning, without warning, she leaned and rested her forehead against his. Min-seok closed his eyes. "Please, don't give up if I run." "I run, sometimes, but I come back. I'll wait for you," he whispered. She pulled away, opened the door, and got out. But before entering the building, she looked over her shoulder. He was still there, inside the car, motionless, his eyes fixed on her as if the world around them had disappeared. The rain began to fall. Min-seok got out of the car without thinking. He walked calmly. The sound of his shoes against the wet asphalt marked the rhythm of something inevitable. Hyejin was still standing at the entrance, her hand on the glass door handle, her hair starting to get soaked. When she saw him approaching, she held her breath. He stopped in front of her, so close that the rain running down his face splashed onto her as well. "I should let you go inside and pretend this didn't happen," he said, his voice low, hoarse. She didn't answer. He raised his hand, touched her face gently. His thumb brushed a wet strand away from her cheek, and then he slowly pulled her in by the waist. Hyejin closed her eyes, and then he kissed her. Deep, her hand slid up to his neck. Their bodies pressed together, ignoring the cold of the night. And there, on the soaked sidewalk, with the building lights reflecting in the puddles, they gave in to everything they had been holding back for days. The world could watch, their coworkers could comment. But in that moment, only the two of them existed. When they pulled away, breathless eyes still closed, she rested her forehead against his. "This doesn't feel right, but it's everything I want," he whispered. "You? Here? Now." She bit her lip, her fingers still gripping his wet shirt. "Then to hell with what feels right," she said, smiling through tears. "I'm tired of living on autopilot, and I'm tired of pretending I don't wait for you every day, even when you don't come." She kissed him again, without thinking, and when she finally let him go, she laughed. A light laugh. "You're going to make me lose my job," she joked. And Min-seok held her hand as if he were discovering the touch of someone for the first time. Their fingers intertwined slowly, as if they never wanted to let go again. Hae-jin looked at him, and there was no more doubt in her eyes. Her smile was shy, but full of tenderness. A smile that said, "Stay with me." "I don't even know your favorite dish," she said, her voice low, "and I don't know what you're like when you wake up. But even so," she took a deep breath, "I want to continue." He gently brushed his fingers across her face, moving a rebellious strand aside. "You don't need to know everything. You just need to know that it's with me that you want to discover it." She nodded, her eyes shining, and then he pulled her in slowly, with the calm of someone who knows he's touching something rare. Their bodies moved closer, as if they already knew the way, and their lips met once again. This time, there was no hesitation. The kiss was sweet, slow, deep, as if the world could stop for a few minutes and only that existed. Her arms closed around his neck. He held her firmly by the waist, as if saying, "I found you." And she smiled against his mouth, as if saying, "Let me stay." When they pulled away, still breathless, Hae-jin rested her forehead against his. "With you, I feel peace. And with you, I feel like I can start over," he replied. She held his face between her hands, her eyes teary and in love. "So promise me this won't be just a beautiful phase. I promise you it will be the beginning of our story." She smiled with moist eyes. That promise sounded stronger than any contract, truer than any title he had ever held at the company. It was the kind of thing you only say once, because it changes everything. Min-seok held her hands between his and brought them to his lips, kissing them carefully, as if sealing an invisible pact between two hearts that had recognized each other long before the first touch. "So from today on, you are my favorite part of every day," he said, his voice thick but steady. "And you are my safe place," she whispered. They didn't need to hide any more. On that gray Tuesday morning, while employees crossed the company's main hall, while screens flashed with spreadsheets, reports, and deadlines, they walked through that space together as if they were walking on an invisible carpet that only they could see, hand in hand. Hae-jin stopped near the glass-walled meeting room. Inside were the same people who laughed at her, the ones who belittled her role, the ones who said a CEO would never look twice at someone like her. Min-seok stopped too. He looked with her, and before anyone could say anything, she looked him in the eyes and said, loudly, clearly, without hesitation, "Let everyone know, let them see, let them talk. I am not ashamed to love you. And anyone who laughs at that doesn't understand anything about love." Min-seok stepped closer, placed his hand on her waist, and kissed her. A calm, complete, mature kiss. The kind of kiss that turns doubt into certainty. And so, in the very place where everything began with a bump in the elevator, they began a new chapter. If at any point you rooted for this unlikely couple, if you felt your heart race with this pure, unexpected, and true romance, then this channel is for you. Subscribe now so you don't miss the next stories. Each video is a new encounter, a new chance to feel true love at first sight. And comment down below, "I still believe in love." That way, we know this story spoke to you. Also, leave your like, it really helps the channel keep bringing emotional, passionate dramas like this one. And don't leave without watching the next video already on your screen. It will touch your heart too. See you there.